The sound of sneakers squeaking against the polished hardwood echoed through the silent gym, a sharp contrast to the usual energy that filled the space. Today, however, the energy had shifted, turned inward, expectant, curious. All eyes were drawn to a man in faded navy overalls, standing awkwardly near the three-point line, a mop still in his calloused hands. The handle seemed less a cleaning tool and more like something he held onto for balance, as if it were the only thing anchoring him in place while every gaze bore down. The scent of sweat, fresh varnish, and cleaning supplies clung to the air, a strange mix of pride and discomfort. He had spent the last 2 hours making sure the court gleamed for the club's elite basketball team, as he always did. Never once did he imagine that the spotlight, the one he had so diligently avoided, would ever fall on him. But today, humiliation had plans of its own. It started with a smirk, barely noticeable, from one of the players. Then came the whispers, hushed laughter, and finally, the invitation, a basketball, tossed lazily in his direction, and a comment disguised as kindness. "Come on, shoot one. Just for fun." Daniel Carter, the man in the overalls, held the ball in his hands, heavy not from weight, but from the intention behind it. Laughter rippled through the court, some light, others edged with condescension. They thought it would be funny. No one expected what was about to happen. Daniel's name was rarely spoken in the club. To most, he was simply the cleaner, the man who appeared before drills and disappeared after practice. The one who wiped sweat from benches and scrubbed shoe marks from the floor without a word. None of them had ever asked his story. They didn't know that years ago, Daniel had been something else entirely. In his college days, he had been a rising basketball star, quick on his feet, sharp in instinct, and with a jump shot so clean it made scouts take notes. But dreams, as they often do, are fragile. Daniel's world had come crashing down the day his wife died unexpectedly, leaving him with a newborn daughter and a broken heart. Basketball didn't matter anymore. All that did was Lily. Raising her alone meant sacrifice, endless sacrifice. He gave up everything, offers, opportunities, the future he'd imagined for himself. He took whatever jobs he could to pay for diapers, formula, and eventually school fees. Cleaning gyms wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. And more than anything, it meant he could be there for Lily. Over the years, life became a cycle of quiet endurance. Wake before sunrise. Clean until dusk. Scrape together enough to cover rent, tuition, and groceries. There was no luxury, no excess. But there was pride, silent, steady pride in the way Daniel carried himself. He never asked for pity. He never complained. Most of the players didn't see any of this. They were young, talented, and focused on their own paths. Some were indifferent. Others treated him with mild disdain, not necessarily out of cruelty, but out of ignorance. To them, he was background noise, a fixture in the gym like the water fountain or scoreboard. But today, that fixture was suddenly, uncomfortably, human, holding a basketball under the fluorescent lights, his worn sneakers planted firmly on the floor he'd spent years cleaning. If you believe in second chances, in the idea that courage can live quietly in the most overlooked souls, then this is a story for you. If you believe in kindness, in dignity, and in the strength it takes to keep going when no one claps, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Because sometimes, the quietest people carry the loudest stories, and one shot can change everything. They were just young, privileged, unaware, and insulated by their talent and potential, too blind to notice the quiet storms that men like Daniel Carter carried every day. To them, he was just the cleaner. The man in overalls who scrubbed the floors before and after practice, who never spoke unless spoken to, who moved like a shadow along the edge of the court. It was during one late afternoon practice that everything changed. The club's semi-professional team was running their usual drills, sneakers squeaking and basketballs bouncing, their voices echoing through the vast gym. Daniel, on his knees near the sideline, was polishing the floor with his usual focus when a stray pass rolled toward him. One of the younger players, Jason, a talented shooting guard with a cocky streak, called out loudly, "Hey, cleaner, think you can make a shot?" The gym broke into chuckles, not malicious exactly, but careless in the way young people can be when they've never truly faced loss or humility. The coach raised an eyebrow but didn't intervene. Daniel could have laughed it off, could have simply rolled the ball back and continued with his work. But there was something in Jason's tone, in the ripple of laughter, that made him pause. It wasn't anger, it was something deeper. A flicker of something that hadn't stirred in years. He hadn't held a basketball in over a decade, hadn't allowed himself to remember that version of who he used to be. Only his daughter Lily knew the truth. Her room was lined with old photos and trophies from a lifetime ago, things she'd never seen come alive except in stories. Slowly, Daniel rose to his feet, the mop forgotten, dust clinging to his overalls. The ball felt foreign and familiar all at once in his hands, like muscle memory waiting to be summoned. He could feel their eyes on him, expectant, mocking. But deeper than the humiliation was something stronger, a lingering ember of pride that refused to go out. He stepped back to the three-point line, the same spot where he used to own the court. His heart pounded like a drum, not from nerves, but from the rush of reawakening something long buried. The players watched with smirks, expecting a wild miss, maybe even a stumble. But the moment the ball left his fingertips, everything changed. It spun through the air with perfect form and fell through the net with a flawless swish. The gym fell utterly silent. That sound, the clean snap of the net, was a whisper from the past, a reminder that greatness doesn't just disappear. Someone muttered, "Do it again," as if daring him. Without a word, Daniel grabbed another ball and shot again. Swish. Again. And again. Midcourt. Fade away. Even a no-look throw over the shoulder. Each one was perfect. It was as though the court itself had welcomed him back, remembering the steps of a long-lost dancer. The players' expressions shifted from laughter to awe. The coach finally stepped forward, his face unreadable. Daniel braced for a lecture, maybe even a reprimand for showing off or distracting practice. But instead, the coach asked quietly, "What did you learn to shoot like that?" Daniel paused, then simply replied, "A long time ago." From that day forward, things were different. The players didn't joke when he entered the gym. Some began approaching him with real curiosity, asking about his shooting technique, seeking tips.